It's not a dancehall versus reggae thing, or is it? Welcome to the Style and Vibes podcast with me, Michaela. I'll be giving you the inside scoop on music, fashion, culture, and more from Caribbean celebrities and tastemakers across the globe, pushing our culture with authenticity and, of course, style and vibes. Hello, everyone. It's another edition of the Style and Vibes podcast. As you can tell by the title, this is definitely going to be a spirited, when we say spirited, conversation about dancehall and reggae artists from a creativity standpoint. We're really talking about the creative process, but I think it's going to be fun. But this episode is really meant to be a thought starter. What are your thoughts? I want you to share them with me in terms of what you think after listening to this episode. But first, I have to welcome anyone who is new to the family. Welcome, welcome. Do me a favor and make sure you subscribe to the Style and Vibes podcast in whichever podcast platform you are listening to. And please make sure, if you like what you hear, leave us a review. As you guys know, our Styling On and Vibing To video is exclusively on YouTube, so make sure you guys check that out. A little snippet of what we're talking about. Football player Raheem Sterling of the Manchester City team collaborates with Clarks and Bathing Apes, so you want to check that out. As well as Jada Kingdom's East Side Queen mixtape. So definitely check out the video. We have that and so much more exclusively on our YouTube channel, so make sure you check it out. In this episode, we are joined by Odessa of Reasonings with Odessa podcast, as well as Shawn, aka Reggae Music Forever on Instagram, of the Reggae Talk Podcast, to join in the spirited debate about the artists and if they do get the same creative freedoms in terms of their genre and exploring that. So we definitely talk about the artists, we give examples, we talk about technology. So you definitely want to sit in tight, grab your popcorn, and gather your thoughts. I definitely want to hear exactly what you think. So make sure you guys at me on social at Style and Vibes on Instagram or on Twitter, so we can definitely keep the conversation going. But for now, here is our conversation about reggae artists and dancehall artists getting the same creative freedoms. Hi, everyone. Today we have two special guests, and I love connecting with other fellow podcasters, especially my Jamaican podcaster, Dem. So we have Shawn of Reggae Talk Podcast, as well as Odessa of O Access Media, as well as Reasonings with Odessa, both of who have been on my podcast. But we are having a interesting conversation that we wanted to bring to you guys simultaneously. So you guys know me already. I'm Michaela of Style and Vibes. And I want Shawn, you go first, introduce yourself, and then Odessa, you introduce yourself.
Hey, man, big up everybody. I'm Shawn, aka Reggae Music Forever on Instagram, also host of Reggae Talk Podcast. It's always a pleasure to come on Style and Vibes. You know what I mean? A family. It's
family, for real.
Yeah, man. Much respect for bringing me back on.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Shawn. Hi, everybody. I'm Odessa Chambers. I'm the host of Reasonings with Odessa podcast. And I also run, as she said, O Access Media, O Access Jamaica blog. And I'm a resident dog's body. I do a little of everything, management, marketing, media.
Everything. We have a lot of knowledge here and a lot of opinions here. So this is going to be interesting. So Shawn, this is actually, I wanted to kind of pose this to both of you, but this is actually stemming from a post that you did on your Instagram, Reggae Music Forever. And you kind of posed the question to your audience and you said, do current dancehall artists get the same fight as current reggae artists when it comes to where the music is going, sampling new sounds, and the approach to how new music is being viewed within the public space? So tell me why that was something that you wanted to pose to your audience and what your thoughts are around both of those particular ideas.
All right. So pretty much one of the themes of Jamaican music, or specifically dancehall music, in recent years, lies in artists watering down the music. You know, the music, the sound, the same again. And, you know, one of the number one complaints is that nowadays artists, the music doesn't sound authentic, and, you know, the music sound like hip hop. You know, this is not dancehall and all these kind of things. You know? So people tend to say, you know, the music is changing, and me too. I mean, I get a little grumpy sometimes because I'm from back in the days, but things in time do change. And over time, you learn to accept that. Fast forward to recently, maybe I guess over the past year or so, I'm hearing a number of songs. I'm hearing a change when it comes to the roots artists, or the artists who classify as reggae or roots artists. And their music sounding as watered down as ever. And I don't hear anybody talking about it. I don't hear Mr. Winford talk about it. I don't hear Anthony Miller talk about it. The bigger media houses, I don't see anything on the social media. I mean, Chronix is putting out music that sounds nothing like reggae music. I listened to Savannah's EP. Savannah's talented girl. Love her music. She put out a 4-track EP, and there's barely any trace of reggae music.
I beg to differ. We can go into that. I'm going to beg to differ. Continue. I beg to give away.
Sonically, it sounds like a neo soul. It sounds like heavily R&B.
Okay, Shawn. So let's go into, because I had this conversation with my best friend Robert 3 days ago. I'm the daughter of a reggae legend, Jimmy Cliff. My father has done music that is not connectively reggae, as some people say. Jimmy Cliff does pop sounding reggae music. How different does that sound from what these artists are doing today? I remember back in the day when Ziggy Marley put out Cosmic, and everybody had the same discussion when he put out that whole album with Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers, and he wanted to experiment with different sounds. The underbelly of the music is still reggae. The underbelly of Chronix's Cool as the Breeze is got a UK grime junglist sound, and it's still, at the end of the day, the underbelly of it is still reggae dancehall. How he DJs on it is reggae dancehall. The feel of it is still reggae dancehall. And it's been going on. This talk has been going on, as I said, from my father's day as a reggae artist to today as a reggae artist. If you listen to Savannah's EP, while she's singing soulful, Berry sings soulful. You understand me? Soulful singing has always been a part of our culture as reggae artists as well, you know, and reggae has so many different elements, and roots rock reggae has so many different elements to it. So while Chronix has come out with that, I think that Jamaican artists still can't be put into a box. They're doing Jamaican music, and they need to experiment, and they need to come out of their box so that they can, you know, sonically they're listening to different sounds, and that's what they love. Protege is really a hip hop guy. That's what he came out first as, and then he got inspired. No one ever complained when Sizzler did hip hop kind of music, and no one complained when Capleton remixed Tour. So,
all right, so let's go back to the original query, and that was: do the reggae artists, roots, whatever you call them, do they get the same flack compared to their dancehall adversaries? I just feel like people kind of like shove it under the rug. Meanwhile, the dancehall artists, they take a lot of heat. And the reason for that is because I feel dancehall is heavily stigmatized. Dancehall is like the child that never behaved. So even when they're telling the truth, you still think they're telling a lie. You get what I'm saying?
What dancehall artists are you guys talking about? I just think dancehall right now, it's not good because the producers are not good and they're not building proper rhythms. And I tell you one thing, that's what's lost with dancehall. There's no more rhythms. And that's the element of dancehall that's been taken away. And that's why we're in this position right now.
Odessa, what about Savannah's album? Let's go back to that. You know, one drop on Savannah's album.
She doesn't need to do a one drop. She's never said that she's a reggae artist. The reggae is there. The reggae is there. The reggae is in the first single that she did, which is an old school Lovers Rock UK sound reggae track. If You Only Knew is a reggae track. Straight UK Lovers Rock reggae track.
Listen, Savannah, talented girl. She's truly gifted. The production on that is, the album is well produced and everything. However, it lacks reggae. And that's
but she's not a reggae artist. She's a Jamaican music artist. She's never come out and said, she has never come out and said she's a reggae artist. She never comes out, but we've pigeonholed people that she has never come out and said, I am a reggae artist and I do strictly reggae. She has never come out and said that.
So I think the challenge with that, and I did pose it to her as well. To me, her sound is very R&B, and so I agree with Shawn on that point. She's a soul. She's a soul.
So go back to Barris. Go back to Barris.
No. I'm not saying. Okay, let me. Yes, that is.
Remember, the premise of the conversation is about the new age reggae artists not taking as much flack as their dancehall counterparts.
What dancehall artists are you talking about? No, I mentioned Barris. You know why I mentioned Barris? Because Barris is a soulful singer.
Barris still has a...
The one drop Odessa, the one drop music, that reggae music.
The beat you're talking about.
That reggae music.
But Savannah's vocals are soulful. One drop.
Sudden Flight is what introduced us. That's the song that introduced the world to Savannah. That's a reggae song. She's soulful, but that's a reggae song with Prodigy. Now, the thing with these reggae artists that I noticed, next point, they all come out with the reggae vibe, right? And all of a sudden now, when them reach, and them tell us, say, I don't do that music. You can't put me in a box. But you came onto the scene doing that music. Why all of a sudden now, you're trying not to identify as that. You have to tell me, say, me not that, me just do music. They all came out doing that. What's going on all of a sudden now? What is it that they're trying to be commercialized? Sometimes I wonder if these artists, once they reach a certain space, certain realms, are they really trying to be commercial stars? Or are they really trying to I don't really understand what.
I think that the challenge that you're both kind of touching on is without reggae from Jamaica, the genre itself is sticky, is shaky. So we see it from the outside. If there are very few artists who are promoting themselves as a dancehall artist or a reggae artist, we see it with hip hop. It doesn't matter what type of subgenre within hip hop, they say it's hip hop. And therefore they all level up to the same charting system, whereas we don't even have a separate chart. We're still included and thrown in with everything. And it's rare that you'll see it kind of cross over. So from a categorization standpoint, it makes it harder to market when we're not being inclusive of the genre, because the reggae genre right now is not very Jamaican.
Guys, I said that's why I keep bringing it back to a Jimmy Cliff and a Bob Marley and to a Beres Hammond and to this and that. There's no difference. It hasn't changed. It's the same thing, and you can still market music. It's still reggae. It's just like.
But you can argue that reggae was still a newer genre. It's a solidified genre now. In this time, it's a solidified genre. No, it wasn't.
Genre. It was always a genre back then. It was always a genre. It was always reggae. It's just that now we have streaming platforms and we have billboards and we have charts and they're putting us here. But it was always reggae music.
Every artist that came out of Jamaica.
But again, I can go to again and refer
said reggae or dancehall. Shawn's point is they're not saying they do reggae or dancehall. They're saying that they're doing this fusion that doesn't have a name.
Who says that? Have they said that? Have you heard them say that? Who says that?
A couple of years ago, Washi Fire, I always source this interview on Nightly Fix. Washi Fire said that the music that's coming out of Jamaica right now, he said it's not reggae, it's not dancehall. He doesn't know what it is, but it's something else.
What music is he particularly talking about though? Because I didn't see that interview.
For example, I think he was speaking about Coffee Toast at the time.
He was talking about the production that he was a part of.
Yeah, right. He was basically saying that he cannot classify it. It's not really reggae and it's not dancehall. And then he went on to say that, it's time for a change. And he went through the transgression, or it went from the ska to the rocks to the reggae to the dancehall. He's saying that it's been X amount of years now. It's time for something new. He says the music that's coming out of Jamaica right now, it's hard for him to put a name on it. He doesn't know what it is.
And that's Walshy, and that's what Walshy Fire said, but that's not what I think. That's just what Walshy Fire says. He doesn't start with Walshy Fire and he doesn't end with Walshy Fire. So no. When I hear Toast, I hear the rhythm underneath. It's kind of got a little. It's still with that particular song. I don't really know. You kind of right there. You're kind of right there with that song. With that song in particular, yeah. But when you listen to the rest of the project, when you finish with the rest of the project is still reggae.
I mean, yeah, there's songs on.
It's a reggae EP.
Yeah.
With one song in there that sounds different.
But there are many songs out here. You don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
So what you guys really want is you want the young cats to just say that they're making reggae, or you want them to just make reggae only?
What I'm saying.
And this is just the reggae artists. We haven't gone into the dancehall artists yet.
The one
I
drop.
mean, dancehall is the same thing.
You cannot ditch the one drop. Dre Allen's album, that's another one. Far too often. Dre Allen is an immensely talented dude. 16 tracks. I don't hear one drop. An early out in a Dre Allen career, heavy on the one drop. No, they want to make some other business. Why do you continue to ditch the one drop? Meanwhile, you have all these white bands from all over the world. They must sing one drop. You know what I'm saying? All the Revolutions and all these other guys, you know, the Pacific reggae, the Cali reggae, they all doing one drop. And they're doing ridiculous numbers. Meanwhile, we're doing some kind of production when a song like I don't know what we're doing. I mean, music change, but is it really doing numbers?
Is any reggae doing numbers? And then if you can go into the Revolutions and those people, they're white and they have their audience and those white people will support them. And that's a whole nother discussion.
So why them run the one drop? Yeah. Why them run the one drop?
Who? The white people? The white bands? The white bands is not their music. So they would do something that's totally not them. Meanwhile, the artists, as I said, I go back again. There's no change. It's just people experimenting with different sounds for one or two particular songs. But at the end of the day, Chronix did a whole live thing. And most of the project that he did was all reggae. And people will have him up for one song that he did that was an experimental sound. It's just one song. People want to experiment. They're artists. At the end of the day, I'm coming from this position because I grew up with artists. So I'm on that fence there. Artists want to experiment. They listen to different things. They're influenced by different things. They don't just necessarily have to make reggae music because they're out of Jamaica. Who made up that? Who made that a rule? Who made that a rule?
Last week on our live, this is what I said to somebody. I said, sometimes I think these Jamaican artists, they get tired for the reggae music and they get tired for the dancehall music. They get tired of our music. They want to do something
because they're not influenced only by reggae. That's the thing. You did an interview with Tessa Lated, Michaela. Tessa Lated listening up to the Beatles. So what, he must just play reggae music all of his life? Or because he's out of Jamaica, he must just play reggae music? He can't experiment with different sounds?
Absolutely. As an artist, you're creative. You listen to different things. You know, you draw influence from different experiences, different people. You travel. You reserve that right as an artist, as a creative. However, if you're putting out music and I don't feel that reggae vibe, that means you're shortchanging us. That means you're shortchanging your fabric. The fabric must be there. Something in it must be there. For me to say, boy, this is reggae music. And if you're putting out music and you're selling it as brand Jamaica,
but it is brand Jamaica because they're Jamaicans. Because they're Jamaicans. It is brand Jamaica. Brand Jamaica doesn't mean that you just have to make only reggae one drop music. But other people feel it. I feel it, even if it's not one drop reggae. I still feel it because I feel that reggae. I feel that drum and bass. I feel that from them when they're doing it. I feel their sound. I feel their passion. As I said, this is a great conversation because it's the same conversation I had with my brethren a few days ago. However, let's go to dancehall because dancehall and the rhythms and what's missing. And I have more of an issue with dancehall because there are no rhythms anymore.
I think the rhythm culture is gone because we released them too quickly, too fast, and there were just too many to keep up with. And they all started to sound the same, just like how all the dances, they started to look the same. And we can't recognize one from the other because you fling one arm and it's a totally different dance name. Like, it don't make sense. So I think, you know, it just got lost in its own and it had to rebrand as a new identity. And it rebranded, but I think some of the artists got kind of mixed into the shuffle. So like Idonia, Movado, like those that were in the middle of 2000, if you come up with Cartel, you know, Cartel did I run the place. I'm still kind of around the place, but those artists, Popcorn, they lyrically have that sound and that style. But like, if you start putting in the Six Them, you start putting in all the new artists, they have a completely different sound.
The rhythm culture, when I mean rhythm culture, like, you know, having 15 artists per one rhythm. I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons why that fizzled. And next thing, you know, remember, now we get into something else. Remember, the new generation youth, them, the music that they grew up on is not what.
But that was also the foundation of reggae also. And they both are varying off of that. And one is more successful in perception than the other.
True.
the trap dancehall sound sonically, it sounds the same. I can't tell. To me, it sounds like one long rhythm.
Long song for everybody. But it's not even good. The point is it's not drum and bass. It's just not good. It's just not good. So even if you had the 6 all on one rhythm of that whole run rhythm, it's still not good. You're saying when the reggae artists are not producing reggae, at least at the underbelly of the beat, you can still hear the beat and the drum and bass. Where's the dancehall? Where's the drum and bass? Where's the boof boof calf? I don't hear it.
I agree with you on that, and I'm not disagreeing about.
But it's weird that we can agree on the dancehall side, but we can't agree on there's no one drop either on the reggae side either. So I mean, essentially, we're saying the same thing, but we're having the same perception is that reggae is way better, well produced. I think that
you are correct, and that's what I said earlier. But on the dancehall thing, now I've been speaking about that for years with the dancehall rhythm, them and thing. Them changed up the drum pattern, heavily hip hop influence. I remember the new youth, remember they came up when Vybz Kartel era, with Stephen McGregor and all those guys, when the hip hop really started making its rounds in the dancehall and stuff like that. So their reality is different from our reality. It's not really their fault that they came up. Many of them came up in the mid 2000s around them time when Vybz Kartel era took over and all them kind of thing. It's not their fault. Is it your fault that you grew up, that you came around, you came of age in a certain era, and it just so happened that the music was changing when you were coming up, and that's what influenced you? Is it your fault? Let me keep
of the 90s era, of the late 90s rhythms. Right. So I'm just like
let
me thinking.
Give you a rhythm that kind of like a modern dancehall rhythm that really was popular back, maybe 10 years ago. Not nice. Watch your friend where you smoke with, run joke with, and them quick to cut your throat quick. You know that song there? Mm-hmm. Watch your friend, Da Vinci, man. Dirty Babylon, go long dirty Babylon. Babylon say jail for me, and the judge say bail for me. You know that song there?
No, I know it. I'm trying to follow where you're going.
Just think about the rhythm.
Yeah,
think about the rhythm to that.
It's just not my. Maybe that just wasn't my rhythm.
All right, so follow what I'm saying now.
I'm stuck in the early 90s.
Follow what I'm saying now. These guys who are 23, 24 right now, they were kids back then. That was their reality. Mm-hmm. That's what they grew up on. And the music progressively got more and more hip-hop. So now them are 25, 26. They squash them and all them, 6 them and all of them. Remember, they're not even 30 yet. They're young. Some of them are 24. You can't really...
But so was Stephen McGregor and whoever else was producing back then. So was Bobby when he was back then. I don't like when people refer to young. I like when people refer to some of these 6 producers. Again, they're not producers. They're beat makers. They're not good producers. Dancehall had producers. Dancehall had your Bolbys. Dancehall had your Tony Kellys and your Dave Kellys and those people who were producers, who had a concept, who knew what they wanted to do when they put that person in the booth to record that track. Today's youth nowadays, it's nothing to do with age. It's to do with musical talent and understanding how to produce an actual
to
song.
Play devil's advocate, I agree with you, but let's play devil's advocate. Technology changed.
Of course it does, and how people listen to their music. They listen to their music from a phone now versus when we used to listen to music from a boombox. It's different. They hear it different.
You have to learn how to use an analog system. A kid can go on YouTube University or whatever and learn how to produce, quote unquote, produce music.
Yeah, but some of them can do it good. Again, some of them are musicians, do it good. I can't say SoundCloud or YouTube or whatever where they learn from. It's, are they good? And the things that are coming out right now, they're not producers. It's not good. It has nothing to do with their learning process.
But there was also a filtration system, right? So a song wouldn't leave the studio unless it had a certain sound. Whereas today I can literally create a beat, a rhythm, and just put it up on any platform. Yeah. So there's no filter to say, there's no one to say this sounds sonically good or bad. It have a vibe,
Because it's a hype culture that we have now and not a culture. It's a hype culture. We're into hype. We're into and we go back to, we're going to touch on the conversation we had before. When you have the same group of people who are not journalists, who say that they're journalists, that are going to hype it and are going to put it in a mega publication and say this is the next thing, then they're going to believe it's the next thing and it's the next sound, but it actually isn't really good. I'm just going into good music and bad music. I don't care if you play something from YouTube, or you didn't have to go to school for it, or you didn't have to, or you learn, or you're a SoundCloud artist. If you're good, you're good at the end of the day. And what dancehall sound that's coming out right now, it's just not good. It's hype. It's just hype.
I agree with you. I agree with both of you guys. But guess what? And like I always tell people, is it your fault that you were born when you were born and you're here during this time? Is it your fault that you have access? You never have to wait outside. You never have to wait outside a jammies all day to get into the studio and go through the process and all those. Is it your fault as a youth? I don't feel them fault.
It's not their fault, but they as a musician, you also have a responsibility to learn music and go back. I wasn't born in the 60s or the 70s. I love 70s soul music. I love 60s reggae. I love that era because either my family played it, I was around it. So I don't think that being born in a particular era is a reason to say that the quality of the music isn't there.
I don't agree.
Because there is quality music. For me, Tesselated said he came up the same way through SoundCloud, and I wouldn't have known, because to me his sound sounds well produced, which means, and then he, I was totally taken aback when he said, I put out like over 200 songs in a matter of a year, and basically I would put it out, get feedback, and then go back in the lab and do it again
and keep it consistent. So he always wanted to learn. Right. He always wanted to hone himself.
To me, I think he's a good example of what a newer artist or producer could really intentionally go back and say this. And it's not to say that the younger producers for dancehall haven't done that, but they also don't have a mentor or a person that sounds like. We have to get away from, man, everything sound good. It hot. Like one hot line does not make it an amazing song.
Well, that's why I said it comes down to hype again. You're hyping them.
Yeah, we have a lot of hype in the studio when they're making the song because they have one-liners that get praise, and we love them. I love the one-liners because that's the only part that really draw me into the song. And but we have hype within ourselves, within the media. We have younger cats who are writing these articles, who are building these things and saying these people are great and awesome and they're the next big thing. And it's garbage. It's not good. Well, then it's just not good. What's the alternative? It's to just not write about the genre at all.
But that's what we need to take care. Listen, I'm a media personality and a producer, and I've been producing things for how many years, and I refuse. If it's not good, I'm not doing it. I am not putting it out. Movado had to wait years before I did an interview with him because I didn't think he was ready to talk to me. And I gave him that thing. There's levels to this shit. You have to pay your dues. I think it's right now, they're not paying their dues. They don't have any dues to pay because they have different avenues or different hype men or yes men or people in different avenues, and they can pay. Remember, they can pay for their promotion on social media and whatever, and they have a man, and it's good, and everybody thinks it's the wickedest thing, and the radio man will go get him money and play it and pay him and play it, and it's gone.
Again, I agree with you. I know the whole thing, but let's play devil's advocate again, because if everybody had the same perspective, then the thing will go boring. All
it's not boring because, darling, my voice is not boring, darling.
No, but say if everybody has sing the same song. Think about your listeners. If everybody's singing the same song, we have to have a next perspective. A next perspective now. With technology comes unintended consequences. Well, you can't do nothing about it. So again, back to what we were saying earlier with the youth, them, you know, they don't have no filter, then there's no system and all these different kind of things. Anybody can make anything from out of them bed. Again, is it their fault? These are unintended consequences with the technological advances. What I'm trying to say is things and times change. So what do you guys think about the unintended consequences of technology as it relates to music?
I agree. And I think that is not specific to dancehall or reggae. I think it's every genre. It has music in general. And most people would just say you're old, but I don't really think that that's the case, because it's really, I can, but you can go back and listen to really bad songs from the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, and every era has bad music, but it don't get farther. It didn't get that far because there were gatekeepers. So I think the challenge for this generation is they have to work without that continuous feedback or someone in your ear. So like you said, it's an unintended consequence, and they don't know that they're missing it until someone tells them that they might be missing it. And that's also that might not be happening either, because I hear a lot of, and even us, we're like, it's horrible, but I'm also not in the studio. I'm also not the one giving them the feedback directly, because I've already heard it. Like, if I have a chance to converse with you, I'm like, nah, I don't really like that, or I didn't like your performance because, and I could give you that feedback. You could take it or you could not. But a lot of people now, they don't even want to hear it. They just want to hear how great they are. Old, young, new, red, green, they just want to hear how great they are. They're not used to, so that's an unintended consequence too. They don't take criticism very well. They automatically think, because I'm saying something doesn't sound good, that I'm a hater. I'm not a hater. I'm critiquing it based on my listening ear. My years of experience do mean something still. So Absolutely. You know what I mean? So it's not that we're hating on them. Take constructive criticism and revamp that. And I'm not saying everything that's coming out is horrible, like a few songs them, but it's not consistent the way it was before. And I would love to see, and the thing about it is, I love what I love, and I would love to see if the artist wanted to step up and make it theirs. But the reality of it is, if they don't want to do it, then other people are going to do it for them, because that's how you continue to, like, it's the classic reggae conversation that we were having. The reason why, you know, Hawaii and California have that reggae scene that is very particular to them is because they're filling a gap that our artists aren't partaking in. And they're okay with never stepping foot in Jamaica and creating a sound that originated elsewhere and making it their own. But we can't continuously complain about artists if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. So for me, that's kind of where I'm at. Do the music that makes you happy, but I'm not going to engage in diaspora wars about who's making the most authentic XYZ. Justin Bieber, take it. Drake, go on with it. If we don't want it, somebody else are gonna take it.
I'm very possessive when it comes to my reggae music. I'm very possessive.
But you and we're not artists. We're not the ones creating the sound. And then you take someone like Sasko just dropped in remix with Bone Tequila and that song is fire. Why is it not ringing off? Why is it not ringing off?
It is ringing off. It just ringing.
But the original Loco. Yeah, it just came out in June, or is it end of May? The original.
Let me tell you about Loco now. I had this conversation. The first time I heard the song, I said, if this was 2005 or 6, this would have been a big hit.
Loco is basically rhythm headache. It's based on it's got the headache rhythm soundtrack kind of vibe to it. So yeah, it's a sample. It's very much on that headache.
It didn't have the same impact that Coffee's Lockdown did.
No, because Coffee's hype. But she's got the hype behind her right now.
She didn't have.
She's got the hype behind. She's got the hype behind her now. She's got a whole machine behind her. It's a totally different.
True.
It's a totally different factor. Coffee's a pop star. You can't compare Coffee now to anybody, not even to Chronics. See, Coffee just put out one song and it went 2 million in a day. That's like Beyonce's status.
Yeah.
It's a damn good song.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
Well written.
You understand me? And then she spat but listen, and she spat out a reggae track straight after that. So she's giving you a balance of reggae and something for the youth then. So she's giving you something for you that you want, Shawn, and then she's giving something for her market that she's famous for and what she knows, because Lockdown kind of got that toast type of vibe and feel to it.
That's what the rest of these artists are chasing. Coffee is a template. That's what the rest of them are chasing. But
isn't everybody the template for dancehall and reggae? Because like everybody after Tommy Lee came out with his fresh new sound of dancehall. I love Tommy Lee, by the way, right? And it was just a different vibe and a different look. And how many other little Tommy Lees came out after that? A whole string of Tommy Lees came out after that. How many other little Chronics I work? All right, man, natty up my thing again and I go and go do that. Some of them went, we're going to do this thing. I know them, I go do that. Now, the same sound that you're talking about, which is hip hop and dancehall, and that, remember, hip hop is dancehall. Dum-dum. But half of these kids, it's just their thing. It's their sound. That's what they want to do. But they still keep the essence of what they're doing. It's still reggae. It's still reggae.
Boy, we're gonna have to agree to disagree because
you and my brethren, you and my brethren Robert could live.
No Jamaican artist cannot package a body of work and give it to me and say, take it, consume the reggae music. I'm gonna listen to my tune at the garbage. You're crazy. I want reggae music that I know as reggae music.
What I find so interesting for the two of you, Shawn, you're saying you want authentic reggae, right? But you're not questioning the dancehall. Mm-hmm. And Odessa is the opposite. So
I don't mind what these kids are doing. That's what I'm saying. Because my influences is vary. My whole music genre, I grew up listening to a bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So for me, sonically, I always know I am reggae. I'm birthed from reggae. That's me. So I know the sounds. I'm in the studio. I'm in the studio with the greats. I'm in the studio with the Dave Kellys and stuff. I know what I'm talking about when I say I hear the reggae in it. The reggae's there. You that might be used to just original one drop beat reggae, that's what you know. Remember, Jamaicans grew up listening to soul music, souls and Kenny Rogers and country and western, and their vocal ability and their sound and everything is used through that. There are 15 different vibes and vibes and genres of how reggae sounds. You can't just say one drop and one drop only is reggae. That's, to me, that's just wrong.
I want more. I want to feel it. You can't give the production the sound like it. And then like the vocals is if I want something else, I'll listen to that. But you're not going to package it as that and tell me that's that. It aggravates. This is just me personally.
Shawn, your middle name should be Shawn One Drop Davis. That means I'll call it One Drop.
All right, since I say one drop, right? It's a good segue into something else. All right. Them artists, they must sing. So them say they said don't call them reggae artists. That's what.
Who says that? Again, let's go back. Who says that? Who says that? Artists. I said that they have never said that they are predominantly. I am a reggae artist and I only do reggae music. I've
heard Chronics said before that he's not a reggae artist. He's just a musician. He was on Hot 97 the other day. He talked about all the time. Mm-hmm. He was a musician. I know like to get boxed in. As a musician, we make music and all these. This is pretty much been their rhetoric. They don't like to be categorized or
no musician likes to be categorized. No artist likes to be categorized. They're just musicians. They're just artists. That's what they do. That's what they live and breathe. It's like they wake up tomorrow and they got this thing in their head. I'm not going to
say no. Some, not no. No artists, me and them say them call themselves dancehall artists and them call themselves reggae artists. No artists. Not no. What do you mean?
I'm saying still, a musician and an artist is just an artist. And when it's just them. But they're not going to have to, you don't have to pigeonhole him and say, that's again, we're going back to the pigeonhole. You just have to do reggae, what sound like reggae, but this is just reggae.
You notice when they're on stage, when they're on stage, Why them always draw back for the one drop? One drop, one drop. No, bro. Why don't you sing that song there? Play that same rhythm the way you make, and make the bands play it. And then we'll see how the people respond to that music there, in front of the people. Them. Why do you think them always draw back for the one drop?
I've never heard. Well, that's a few artists. I don't know who you're talking about again.
The stage show.
Who always does that?
This is a reggae dancer stage show. Them always want the one drop mix. They want the one drop. You know the one drop with the bands? They always want the one drop because the one drop is the core of the music. They want the energy, that different little vibes there. The little vibe. You know what your artist asks for one drop? So give me one drop.
Yes. Yeah, but it's not like
the original track is not one drop because they're artists. They're artists. They don't want to call them that. However, when them turn up in front of 15,000 people, they might ball out to the band for say, give me one drop. Why them not make the rhythm, the original rhythm with them do on this song? Why they not make it play? And watch what the people, why them always ball out for the one drop?
I think we want our artists to get the credit that they deserve doing the music that they love. And I think especially being here in the States, we see that slipping away. Every time we hear some mainstream media cross over and sample something and do something, and it doesn't, there's not one. This time of the year, New York would be riddled with a lot of Caribbean music. We don't hear anything on Hot 97. Nothing. Without.
I just mentioned her to you, saying that her is a reggae artist now.
Well, I mean, she get little Skip, she get little Molly.
No, but then and now Wizkid has a full-on reggae track with her. You understand me?
But if you go back to a few of his older albums, he has reggae and dancehall on there. Yeah. So, but none of that is playing on mainstream hip hop urban stations at all.
No, because
you don't hear any of it.
They don't want to play reggae anyway on mainstream radio or revolutionary reggae or anything with what the feel and what the vibe is going on right now in the US and wherever. It's they want you to notice everything is going back to garbage or you understand me, so they're not going to play that because it's going to keep us focused on matters at hand that we need to focus on as Black people, and they're not going to play forever. And we could go into the Beanie, the Bounty, and the Billboard conversation.
I think we'll unanimously agree on that. That was foolishness.
So they're not going to give us props at all when it comes to mainstream radio in America. But I give you a feel like living in Jamaica, and I've had friends fly in and they listen to the radio here and they're like, why am I not hearing enough reggae? You understand me?
Always been the case.
Good luck.
And I say this because
good luck.
Well, what Jamaicans have said is that they are reggae. They hear it every day. They're around it every day. They don't want to hear it all the time. There's a main station that's dedicated to reggae. They want to hear different genres of music. So, that's the feedback that I get back from people here. People that come here for holidays and vacation, they want to hear reggae. They want that feel. They want that vibe. Even when you go to a party, and in Jamaica, you're hearing predominantly more soca than reggae music.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing in Trinidad. You don't hear carnival
music. But Trinidad,
music.
You hear reggae.
You don't hear carnival music
on
outside,
the radio.
But you don't hear carnival music outside of carnival season. As soon as carnival season,
but in Jamaica, where the carnivals is reggae.
It's reggae.
They play more reggae. Yeah. They play more reggae in Trinidad, which is a carnival. Reggae influences the region, period, and the culture of Jamaica influences the region, period. But Jamaica, they digress from anything that is really. So we can go back to what you're saying with the music and how these kids are and stuff like that. They just don't want to hear what is them all the time. That's what I kind of feel. You know what I mean? They want to listen to other influences and other things that they like. And they want to tap into that, what they like.
Which is why I don't fight it.
I don't fight it. I embrace all kinds of sounds and eclectic vibe, and if they were going to go out and make a full-on pop album that has nothing to do with the culture, then I can complain. But one or two songs with a different sound, the underbelly of it is still reggae or dancehall, and the way they DJ is still reggae, and dancehall is still Jamaican music culture. I don't have a problem with it. I have no, and it can make me move, I'm good. And it can touch my soul, me good. Never problem.
So does that impact you guys in terms of your platform and how you promote artists from the region or outside of the region? Are you open to sounds that aren't from the region itself, or is it more of, and I know it's specific for both of you, but share what are your thoughts around if the sound is expanding into other regions? Like, I'm not particular on covering bands from the West Coast. It's reggae, but it's just not my thing. What does that do in terms of how you cover the industry itself?
Like, I mean, Cali reggae. I mean, I listen to what's that band name? I can't. Anyway, they were Grammy nominated a couple years ago.
I stopped following the Grammys.
I was curious. I think that was the same year.
It's not Revolution. It's not.
No, not Revolution, man. It's what them name, man? John, I can't. Anyway, that band, Cali reggae band.
Because I don't like
and I went
all
and
of
I
it.
listened.
I don't like all of it. It's just too light for me. Like elevator music.
Exactly. That's what I feel.
But it's still reggae, but it's just elevator light. It reminds me of what's his name that has the Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett type of reggae.
Yes, Jimmy Buffett. Whatever name.
Yeah.
When I listened to I went and I listened to that album. I don't remember the name of the band. But pretty much the one drop is there. Yeah, but I don't really hear the struggle in the music. Mm-hmm. I don't feel it. Mm-hmm. You know, their subject matter is about, like, they might sing about surfing. They might sing about reality.
Just a reggae beat over it, but airy and light and fluffy. Yeah,
very, very light. But like Michaela said, they're filling a void. We used to be able our Jamaican artists used to be able to go out there and headline shows, but now our Jamaican artists, no for them, they're opening for these guys. You know, they're not
because they go into numbers again, and it's all about, we're in a numbers world. Yeah. We live in a numbers world right now. World right now. So the whole business has changed as well into playlists. Mm-hmm. It's about streaming platforms and playlists, and how many songs you can get out on how many playlists. You know what I mean? Who has the first picture on Apple or Tidal or Spotify? Are you on all the top 50 Spotify playlists? That's how the culture of what these younger kids are looking at right now. That's the focus that they're on right now. It's nothing more than that. It's a numbers game right now, which is sad because they're losing the essence and the pure thing of just making music without having to make music or strategize for numbers and playlists, you know.
But that's not going any way. It's out the bag and it's not going away.
No, it's not.
So it's also to, again, we kind of go back to, if we can't create a solid playlist around the genre that is true to anything, if it's fluid, then it will go all over the place.
But our youth are more fluid. Our youth are fluid. They're not like how we were when we were growing up.
That is true. They're
fluid. There's certain things that they're just like, they don't care. They don't care about those things. And so you have to see where their headspace is. It's just a fluid culture right now. And the kids nowadays that are making music and doing things, they don't care.
That is true.
They're free with sexuality. They're free with everything. Them not care. I just fit empty. I wonder if they said the same thing about our generation when we were growing up. I don't know.
And again, that lies in it's a technology. I mean, the world is smaller now because of this very platform that we're using right now, and social media and everything. So the world, that's pretty much what it is. The world is smaller. You know, it's like a melting pot. You know, it's easy. It's easier for you to draw influence from all corners of the earth, of the globe, because we have social media.
That is true. What?
We're less ignorant.
I think that's a great place to end before we start on a whole nother podcast. But so any last final thoughts? Share your final thoughts on the entire. You already done?
I don't do final thoughts. Okay. I can't. I'm not.
I'll do a final thought. My final thought is for our Jamaican artists is very simple. Keep it real. That's it.
Real is relative to their environment. So I think that's a good place.
Keep it Jamaican. Keep it one drop. I'm giving you a new name. What should I come on your Instagram? I'm coming on your Instagram and I'm going to be saying, yeah, one drop. What you say? Ba-na-na-na.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for the
nice.
Entertaining conversation and debate. We definitely have to do this again. Truly appreciate it. Share where they can find you on the social, and I'll also include it in the show notes as well.
Okay, so you can find me on O Access Jamaica on all platforms, YouTube. Subscribe, Twitter. Subscribe, click and follow, Instagram. And Facebook as well. O Access Jamaica. My personal is just Odessa.
Yeah, man. And you can find me on Instagram at Reggae Music Forever. Reggae Music Forever, just like how you spell it. You can also check out the podcast page, Reggae Talk, on Instagram. You can check out the YouTube. Check us out on Apple Podcasts. We're on SoundCloud. Yeah, man. Voice of reason for the culture. Yeah, man.
And that is it for me. Until next time, Leah Tommy Peeps. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Style and Vibes podcast. If you like what you hear, and I know you do, share it with your friends and family. If you want more, make sure you visit styleandvibes.com and follow us on our social channels, Twitter and Instagram at Style and Vibes. Until next time, Leah Tommy Peeps.